I was sitting in a lake in my fancy house in that moment, and one of my friends, he asked me like, Dino, like you achieve all the goals that you want, but how do you feel? Do you feel happy? And I told him like, I'm not happy. I was willing to lose everything in order to change that feeling.
Do you struggle to find a personal work balance which is healthy?
3.5 years ago, when I just launched Hune, they diagnosed me cancer, oropharyngeal cancer. When I understand that the problem was in the limits and not in the money, I realized that I was trying to find a solution that it wasn't the other solution.
And is there a lot of economic sacrifice? So you earn much less money now than before?
What I feel, what I think, what I say, and what I do, it needs to be aligned. It's not about the hours.
I understand.
I think it's about the feeling.
Hello everyone, this is Paul. I'm co-founder and co-CEO at Ealyx, and this is the Commerce Shift, a place where we bring together builders and change makers to explore the future of commerce and also to learn a lot. And today, I've got here with me Dino Zweig. Hello Dino, how are you doing? Hi, thanks for being here.
Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here.
Great. So yeah, Dino has an amazing story. You've been an entrepreneur since you were in your early 20s, let's say. You are from Argentina and now living in Barcelona. And you've built several companies that we will explore today, and also a brand, Hune. So to start with, if you want to introduce yourself a bit, like very quickly, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Well, I'm Dino. I'm 39 years old. Mm-hmm. I'm one of 5 brothers. As you say, I came from Argentina, from a family like middle class, like from and I start doing businesses or entrepreneur since always. Actually, when I was in high school and primary school, I start selling things. So I feel I start this path of business because of the need that I feel when I was young. Actually, my father, he used to be an entrepreneur also. Actually, he's an entrepreneur. He built some company or shops, and then he bankrupt when I was young, when I was 7 years old, with all my brothers, and we need to figure out from scratch again. So this is where I come from, like a middle class entrepreneur family. And this is, I think,
Yeah, great. So yeah, very young, you started a business which hit 100 million in cumulative revenues. You were studying in the university, and then you quit. So how, you already mentioned, right? So your family were entrepreneurs, but what pushed you so early and so hard to start building businesses from day one?
Okay, my first driver, it was like trying to help. I think when I was very young, mm-hmm. I doesn't want to be like a pain in my family talking about money, right? Like it used to be very stressed when we need to buy something at mm-hmm. Like school trip or buy things. So this is how I start like feeling that I want to help and not to be like a weight there. So I start selling in CDs in primary school, like the encyclopedias. We bought a CDs copy. Mm-hmm. I don't remember how it calls, the copiadora CDs. Yeah, like CD copies. So I start selling like CDs to my colleagues in primary school mm-hmm. when I was 9 or 10. And then in high school, I sell pens to the teachers and the others, my other friends there, that I bought in the neighborhood that you buy like wholesale. Mm-hmm. So I start like doing this kind of small businesses. Then after that, I start like doing like as a DJ with a friend, and then selling electronics online, like B2C in Argentina. I start selling DVD players in that moment. Then after that, I came to Europe with my savings that I have in that moment. After that, I started studying in the university economics. And meanwhile I was studying, I was selling things online. Actually, in that moment, the name of the company was Mercado Dino, like Dino Market. And I built like a front page, a website, and I have like emailing, and we sell online, but always without money. Like my way of selling was pre-sales. Like this is when I want to sell a computer or something expensive, I ask an advance for that. And with that advance, I invest on the product, and then I sell it over. Then I went to US for a plan that it calls work and travel. I went to work as a housekeeper for 3 months in Colorado. This is where I start learning more English. That's the way I start studying that. And with the money that I made from housekeeping, that it was a lot of money, I bought some computers, and I ship them to Argentina, and I sell them online. So in that moment, that the business, the current business starts in a way. Then after selling for a few months online, I contact a Chinese company. I had a partners in that moment that were like, one it was friend of a university, another was friend of the club. I play rugby, so it was a colleague from there. And we start buying from China MP3s, like the 256 megabytes. You know, remember the pen drives. Okay, so we start buying and selling those products. This is how I met the Chinese market. But in that moment, it was like I didn't know where I was buying from, and I don't know if I didn't know if the money it goes to the right place, or it was all risks with our money in that moment. Like we weren't like a big like we hadn't a lot of money in that moment, so this is how it starts.
It started, but why did you did it for fun, right? Not for real need. It seems the way you explain it, it's like you enjoyed a lot, like the trading moment.
Yeah, in part, yes. I think it was like it was fun, but also I wanted to have the independence of the money independence to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
So the only way it was selling.
Yeah.
Like selling was the answer for feeling that I can get more things and I can achieve my economic goals.
So it kind of framed you, right? Yeah. Like your character even. Nice. And what was this company, this very first company that you, how was it called?
At the beginning, Mercado Dino, then we call it Impofertas, and then we changed it for JNG Group.
And this became 100 million
So JNG Group, it was like the importing business that we start importing and selling to other brands, to other importers.
What did you import?
Well, in that moment, it was the MP3 that we were importing MP3. So I went to China when I was 21 years old to know the market there, to understand. Actually, the reason that I went to China, it was because we have a problem with one shipment that it stops in Europe, and because they have music inside the MP3s, and we didn't know that we need a license for that, and the suppliers, they send it with that music inside. So they stopped the goods and they burned it. Like we lost all the shipments.
They burn it.
Yeah, they burn it. So because of that problem in the customs in Germany, yes. So we were like 21, 22 years old.
How much money was that?
$30,000, something like that.
Quite a lot for...
Yeah, and it was almost all our money.
Okay.
So that's the driver to go to China to try to negotiate that loss with the supplier, the one that I didn't know, only by Skype or by email. So I went with a bag, with a translation book, Chinese, Spanish, and without knowing anything. Actually, I bought the ticket in an agency. It wasn't like online tickets. It was in 2007, 2008. So I went there to China to first negotiate that loss and try to understand how could I improve the business at that moment. So I get a suit to look older than I was in that moment because I was very young. And I was scared about they are not taking me serious. So I went there first. And the first day that I arrived in China, I went to the market. I asked the hotel receptionist where I can get MP3s. Like I have a picture of MP3s and I say, I want to buy this, this, and this. And they told me, go to this place, and they write it in Chinese. It was Huaqiangbei. There is the main market in China, in Shenzhen. So I went there. I was in the street there, like looking where are the shops here, and they were like full of buildings. And when I entered the buildings, it was like thousands of suppliers there. So this is how I get in China. So I was going one by one to the shops, asking what were the prices of the MP3s.
Looking for the lowest one.
Yeah, it was like the market research.
Oh, yeah.
Actually,
and then you sold them back in.
And then after that, I went to my current supplier that I didn't know him, only by email over Skype. And I asked him, look, I know that you are selling me this MP3 for 8.3, and in the market they are selling for 5.7. So I only ask you to, we share the loss of the shipment that we had here, so we don't close the business, and we can do things together in the future. So after that, they compensate to us with new products, with a new production, and this is where I met my first partner in China. That it wasn't them.
Okay, because listen, the business was exporting like from China and selling where? In Europe or in Latin America?
At the beginning, it was in Argentina, selling to importers.
Okay.
So first, it was selling to ourselves, like as an importers, we sell B2C.
Okay.
Then we start selling to the shoppers in the Mercado Libre, that is like Amazon. And then after that, I was starting selling like OEM, like to the brands.
Okay.
Like I started escalating because we were lack of investment, so we start using the investments or the money that the big companies they have. So we start doing that kind of trading electronics.
So it was a classic business of trading, importing, exporting. Your assets was to source these products from China and then bring it to Argentina. How come did you generate that much traction? So what fundamental problem were you solving that was so much need of this, or just the market was a wave that
I think it
just dragged you?
You can focus in 2007, 2008. Nobody goes to China, or it was a few people go to China. You have Alibaba, but you cannot really know what is in the other side. So I think what I was solving is trust. It's lack of trust. Mm-hmm. Like there were a lot of importers that they are focusing on sales, like on building their businesses, their brands, their customers, etc. And they need to have trust on the suppliers side. And where we found the market fit, or I don't know how they call it here, is like we solved that issue. Like in one side, we were like getting trustable suppliers in China that we can trust, and actually we were like irresponsible if they don't follow what they say. And in the other side, we were the face to the importers in Argentina. Like we were responsible for what they were ordering in China. Actually, every year we had quality problems or problems with suppliers, and we were the ones like solving that problems, even in quality issues, in negotiating with the suppliers. As I start negotiating that loss of 30,000, then I had like big losses, maybe 1 year, like $100,000, $200,000 problem, and we were the one negotiating with the suppliers about it.
But you had quite a lot of competition, because you said it wasn't common to go to China in 2007. But it was a very established business, like producing in China and exporting to other geographies, at least in Europe. You must have had a lot of competition, right? Or it was like crowded space.
Yeah.
What differentiated you? Like what you just mentioned, like the quality, the service quality, or the trust?
No, I feel the I don't know how to call it, but it's like the profit that we were looking for, it was lower than the other one. Like I feel
the margin.
Yeah, I think the margin, it was one of the keys. Like we were like a good, like a reliable supplier with a good price. Where if you want to find another supplier, it would cost you maybe in a problem situation a lot of money, and we were like there like as a insurance. For them, like they know that if there is a problem with the partners, we will be there like solving that.
So you made quite a lot of revenue, but you didn't make so much margin. So your
Right.
defensibility was the profitability?
I
That is not sustainable, or what do you think?
Again the question.
No, that your main difference was that you were willing, or you had the capacity to lower the margin a lot. To what point? To what extent? Because I mean, that needs to be a business eventually, right?
Yes, I think it was. If you see with now that moment, it was very risky.
Okay.
Because we were selling as I told you, the first year I was working only with Argentinian importers, but then Argentinian closed the imports because they had a protection. So we start selling to other markets. This is where I go to business trips in Mexico, etc. And I started selling for big companies that they were the one that backed the company in that moment, I think, because we were selling maybe, $10 million in a year. And with some of the orders we had problems, with some we don't have problems. So our business models was backed by the size of the business. But it was a very risky, for us, it was a very risky model. And also risky because it was easy, as you say, to change us. Because as you say, we have a lot of competition. So you start working with me, but maybe the next year you want to change because of something you don't like. And then I lose all this revenue that I was waiting for and all the people that it was involved in that business. So it was very risky in many different sides. And this is, I think, why that business model for me doesn't have like I talked with my partners in that moment also, it doesn't have like a good scale unless we have a good system to control hundreds of millions of orders.
And did you build the system, or you didn't?
In that moment, we start like developing that. Actually, we hired a lot of managers that for different areas of the companies, in quality, in logistics, supply chain, etc. And we start making all the processes to build that system. But when we have the moment that we should be working on the system like as itself with technology, it was very expensive in that moment. So we put it on hold, and now it's starting again. That because of the AI, now we're starting.
You're starting back. Okay, and everything, all this journey, like as you said, as we were mentioning before, bootstrapping, right? So no capital, no investors, no debt. That's very difficult. And what did you have to sacrifice? Or do you feel you had to sacrifice something, or
for bootstrapping because of
like looking back, it's 15 years, right? So
I think I sacrificed the expansion because we need profitable sales in order to grow. So this is how I see now the business. In that moment, it was the only way. I didn't know what is the word bootstrapping. I think I learned that word in Barcelona 3 years ago.
In that moment, did you have a salary that you could live with, at the beginning?
In that moment, I take money from the company, from the profits, and I live with that.
Okay.
And actually, I didn't know. I didn't have limit for that. If I want to go for a trip, I just take some money from the company and I go for a trip. And it was very the company and my wallet was the same thing.
Was the same entity.
Yes, was the same entity. And in that moment we were 3 partners, so it was if one of us want to do something, so the other ones they are waiting for that, or they have that in that. But so in that moment I didn't feel I was sacrificing something. I was just following the wave. I don't know.
Yeah. The only possible way that you saw, right?
Exactly.
Perfect. And then it arrived at a point that what happened next, right? When does because Hune is a brand for headphones and other, mainly headphones, right? Or
mainly headphones.
When this that burn? Is that another company? Because, well, if you can explain a bit, you had a break
So
in the middle.
we built JNG Group.
Okay.
Then we met a partner in like a commercial partner in China. So we escalate for ATEC JNG Group, that it was like this OEM company that we start selling for brands, major brands in Latin America. We sell to more than 40,000 shops nowadays. So we grow a lot. Now we scale a lot. We were like every year increasing our sales, increasing our profits. Our team was also growing. We start being 1, 2, 3, and then until 30, 40 people. Like everything was like growing. I was traveling a lot. Like every month I was traveling to Mexico, Panama, Colombia, China. I was like almost living there in China. All the numbers were like great. Like I can spend as much money as I want. I came from almost nothing, so it was like
you were on a wave,
dream for me. Like I didn't have a car, and then I have a very fancy car. I was living in a very fancy neighborhood, and
working 24/7 or not so much. Like
I was working 24/7. Like I was with my friends, and my brain was working all the time.
And actually, learning Chinese, you just mentioned before, right? So that's when you learned Chinese.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like, I know, like my life was only thinking about. Thinking in what the other needs, like what the supplier needs, what the customer needs, what the brand needs, what the team needs. Mm-hmm. And then I was sitting in a lake in my fancy house in that moment. And one of my friends, he asked me like, Dino, like you achieve all the goals that you want, that you wanted, like you were looking for, but how do you feel? Do you feel happy? Because we are here in your house, and you have everything that you want. You want to have something like I think in a economic thing. No, you want to have. And I answer like, and first I thought about that before answering, and I feel like I wasn't happy. Like it wasn't good how I feeling, and I was 27 years old in that moment, 26, and all these things that I told you, it happens between 18 and 26. So I have like 5 passports full of all the pages full. Actually, I every 2 years I change my passport because I have no more pages. And I told him like, I'm not happy. I don't feel happy. I feel I'm only achieving goals that I don't know if the next goal is what I want, because I want the newest car and the newest thing and the newest phone, and I was only looking for newest things. Maybe the newest car changed a little the light. It's like nothing. It's like why I should pay 20% more, and then when I get that car, I will have to sell it for 20% less, and they only change one light or they only change one button. So in that moment, it's like my first like breaking point where I start like thinking about what I need to make to feel in a different way. So I start traveling. Like I start working much more less. Actually, I read that book, the 4 hours working week from Tim Ferriss. I remember the first book I read in that moment, and that point of view, that point of trying to work less, and it started giving me the time. And the time to think about what if this is what I don't want, what is what I want. So first I start like only taking notes of what things make me stress and make me feel in a worse way, to understand what I don't need. So this is what actually in that moment I stopped selling to customers that they make me feel very stressed at night, and in the other side, they give me a lot of profits for the company, you know, they help a lot. But so that was the first breaking point. Then in one of those trips, I was actually in Europe traveling, and I was like working very few hours, no? Every day, like only with the urgent things, with these big customers, only helping them. And then I was in Europe in the holidays, and I feel in one moment that I could lose everything in order to change how I feel in that moment for the job. So I was, how do you say, like, estaba dispuesto. I was...
you were willing to...
I was willing to lose everything in order to change that feeling.
But how did you end up here? Because the way you explain it, that's very interesting, because that's a successful business, and you weren't feeling fulfilled, or you weren't happy. I was thinking, well, there was probably a lack of purpose, but you don't achieve this goal without a purpose. So there was a purpose. So which was the purpose?
When at the beginning, the purpose was helping my family in a way, like helping...
Economically.
But then I realized one day that the problem of my family, it wasn't an economic problem. It was a limits problem. Like, they were spending more than they get. So
okay.
Because
they were businessmen as well.
Yeah, they were business, and they want to give us the best education. They want to give us the best club and everything. But in the other hand, they doesn't have the resources for that. So when I understand that the problem was in the limits and not in the money, I realized that I was trying to find a solution that it wasn't the other solution. Actually, when I was spending more and more, I was in the same
path.
The
same track.
Yeah. So this is how I think I start trying to change that thing, like spending less, wanting less. Actually, I don't have a car since that moment. Like, since 2017, I don't have a car, and I rent my house, and I split the expenses with my wife. Like, I changed my way of living.
Was that all of a sudden, or it took it, like, because that's an inflection point? You had a business partner, and how much time did you take?
At the beginning, I have these partnerships that we were like 3 partners. Then we when we changed the business model for OEM and to selling to other countries, we were 2 partners. And then when I start traveling, that I want to only tell you this part of the story. I was in China. After Europe, I went to China to work, and I didn't want to go back to Argentina yet because I was looking for a purpose. And when I was in China, after the meetings, I went to buy one T-shirt. This is something that I already told. I went to buy a T-shirt, and it says that it was made in Sri Lanka. I don't know why. I Google Maps where is Sri Lanka in that moment. I didn't know like where is Sri Lanka, and I get a ticket only one way to Sri Lanka, from Hong Kong to Sri Lanka. So in Sri Lanka, I feel it was my second part of my change.
So you were in the middle of this crisis already.
Yes, I was in that crisis. First, with my friends asking me if I was happy, I feel it no. I start traveling. I look for answers. And then when I was there in Sri Lanka, I met like a lot of real problems of the society, like lack of resources, lack of a lot of material things. And even though like everybody was like very happy and fulfilled. And so I feel there I understood that my problem, it wasn't a big problem comparing with lack of resources really is. I in that moment I remember I looked at my iPhone, and it was like 1 year salary from there. So it's like it depends on where you see your problems. If you see from there. So in there I met a lot of I met one guy that I started helping him with his project, and in that moment I start feeling that story. It's different. It's longer. It's maybe. I was like walking in a small town with my earphones, and one guy stopped me, and he asked me if I want to go eating with his family, and I say yes, why not? Like I was there without looking for answers, looking for a purpose, and then when I met his family, his story it touched me. Like her mother dies in the tsunami, and her father dies after a few years, and he was like lack of motivation, but he was like a surfing teacher, and he have a small surfing school, and I started helping him with that. And then he told me that his dream was to build a hostel because he cannot know the world because of the lack of money in that moment, and it was very hard for him to know what is going out outside of the world of Sri Lanka, and this is why he stops me in that moment. And then I don't know why I feel that I want to help him in that project. I don't know why. I think because I know him. And at the next day, when I told him that I want to help him with that, he told me that he doesn't want help from me.
What kind of help? Like financial help or hands-on help? Or
he needs some money to rebuild the house of his parents.
Okay.
And I asked my office in China to send me some money to help him. It wasn't like 1 or 2 iPhones. Calling that
in iPhone money.
Yes, iPhone money. And then at the next day, when we bought the materials to restructure the house, all the town was there helping him also in that dream. So I asked him, why everybody's here helping you? And he said, I know, they heard that somebody wants to help me, so everybody now wants to help me, and they didn't go to work. So that day, I remember I feel like very fulfilled. Mm-hmm. I feel, wow, that is the sense of, that is the feel that I want to feel more, like feel every day. And this is where I go back to Argentina and I start helping in a lot of NGOs in the slums, helping to the entrepreneurs there. And then after that, I went to Israel to do a social entrepreneurship course to learn about how social enterprises are working. Then after that, I go back to Sri Lanka after 2 years and I did a Vipassana, like 10 days in silence in a temple. Before that, I never meditate, but I don't know what I feel. I want to be in silence for a while. So after the Vipassana, after that 10 days in silence, this is where I wrote like a big email to my partners in that time. And I say, I don't want to continue working without a purpose. Like I in the last 2 years, I was working with NGOs. I have all this trip. And I feel I want to change the way, like full of way of living my life. And after, so the first,
because you were working in your previous company while doing all this.
Everything
you were doing both things.
Yeah, we were like It was like two dinos.
Okay,
One is like the business dino, going to the big meetings, talking with about millions and selling millions of units, etc. And the other ones going to the slums, going to NGOs, helping entrepreneurs, etc. And I wanted to make only one. And this is after studying social enterprises. I found that there is a way to doing businesses with a purpose. Mm-hmm. So that was like the first chapter of Hune.
That's where Hune started.
Yes.
But you quit the other company, no?
No. In that moment, what I say is, I could quit, or I want to change the DNA of the company.
Okay.
What does it mean? I doesn't want to take more money from the company. I will get a salary as any other in the company. If I get more money, it's because all the other people behind me, they will get also a higher salary. So I changed like this, the main structure, and all the profits they will be reinvested in the purpose. So in that moment, I didn't know what is sustainability, purpose driven. I was saying there is a lot of people working in NGOs, social enterprises, that they know how to do the things better. Mm-hmm. So I want to reinvest the profits from these big OEM customers to find the answer of how we can do this better. That was the first step, like just use that money for that, and not for myself, using for the company, to find the purpose of the company.
And that's Hune.
That's at the beginning. It wasn't Hune. It was just compensating the carbon footprint of the OEM customers.
Okay.
Then it was studying how we can make them do business better. Like we choose better factories with more certifications, with more controls, etc. We change the packages, etc. But in one moment, the way of creating less impact, it was changing the materials, like paying maybe 15% more for the raw material than the virgin material. So in that moment, we study recycled plastics, we study bio-based plastics, wet straw, FSC, bamboo, etc. But the best raw material in terms of carbon footprint, it was the recycled plastics because we don't have to make a new material. So when we found that solution, the OEM customers, they say, it's very nice what you want to do, but we are not willing to pay more for that product. And our profits was very low, as I told you before. So the only way to continue doing what the purpose of our company was making our own brand. This is how Hune starts.
Great. And so one question to finalize with this personal, let's say, journey. Is Dino changed in terms of the character? So are you a different person, or it's pretty much the same, aligned with... So do you work less, are more calm? Do you have more distance with your challenges? Or
I think...
What do you...
Yeah, but I'm not telling what I feel. I'm telling what they tell you. What they tell me, yeah. Even I have an office in China since 2009 or 10, and they saw all my path. You know? My Chinese team, they saw all my path. And they told me, wow, Dino, you're really different. Not after the Vipassana, after going to the action, like really all the things, because I feel that what I feel, what I think, what I say, and what I do, it needs to be aligned. I feel that was my problem. Like I was feeling that I want to do something better. I was thinking I want to do something better. And I was, in that moment when I started saying that, but I wasn't doing. But the last chapter it was doing, like going to action. And in that moment, it's like everything was aligned. And I feel more in balance.
Okay.
So I don't know if I work more or less. It depends on the moment, but I feel
it doesn't matter.
Feel better.
You're more aligned.
Yeah. It's not about the hours.
I understand.
I think it's about the feeling.
And is there a lot of economic sacrifice? So you earn much less money now than before?
Yeah, I am much. Yeah, actually, I sold all the assets that I had. I made a lot of assets in that moment. I sell them all.
Like houses.
Yes, houses, campos, like
fields,
etc. I sell everything to invest in this purpose, in the company to reinvest, and I wasn't feeling like risk or I just feel it's money and it must be there to help in somehow. It was also helping me because in the moment before I wasn't feeling happy, so it helps me to feel better also. And if it's connected to make other people feel better, also like make me feel better. So it depends where you see that.
Great. Yeah, I mean, amazing. It's a pretty uncommon story that, when you are having more success economically speaking, you're not having success on the other side of things, and then you step away and change back. And you are currently with the same partners that you used to be?
No.
You changed partners?
Yeah, after the Vipassana, after I make this like big change, I think it's normal. Like we changed the ways that we were thinking where we want to go.
What did they tell you? They told you were crazy, or?
Yeah. Not crazy, but they doesn't understand what I want.
Okay.
And I accept that. But in that moment we start how do you say, like giving shares to one of our friends and workers, and now he's my current partner. Yeah, my current partner. In that moment, he told me, I'm not sure what you want, but I trust that we are going in the right way, and I want to go with you together to co-create this new thing.
Okay. So now Hune is a brand for consumer electronics.
So we start reinvesting all the profits. So after 2 years of research and development of how we should co-create, how we should create a new brand, we start with the Ikigai. The Ikigai, like the Japanese philosophy of the reason of being. It was like the connection between what you love, what are your skills, what you can be paid for, and what the world needs. This concept helps me in that moment to understand how I was feeling, because I was working in something that I love, because I love my work. I had skills, or I developed skills for that, and I was getting a lot of money from that, but I wasn't thinking about what the world needs. So first I met my Ikigai, then we make the Ikigai from all the company people, and then we make the Ikigai of the company. In that Ikigai, we realized that we need to make a brand with less impact, thinking about the people that is involved in all the supply chain, and then thinking about the next life of the products. And we start with this first lineup of products, like it was earphones, cables, chargers. And we start the first production, and we also go to try to certify that. That was in 2019, before COVID, 2020. So it wasn't a lot of people talking about this. So we wanted to certify that we are doing and what we are saying, it's really doing less impact than the other brands. Mm-hmm. So in that moment we get like two prizes about our strategy of how we were doing that business, and then we launch in the first production about the first step of the Hune in Mexico. That was our first step in Mexico.
Okay, and Hune now. So it's 6 years, 7 years. You sell. How big is Hune now?
Now it's combined with the other company, no? Okay. So it's hard to separate Hune and the OEM, because now we are like, we all need each other.
Yeah.
Like this is everyday decisions. Yeah, like where we put the time and but I don't know. Like last month, in all the company, we sell like 300,000 units. Maybe Hune this year it was like, it will be like 10% or 20%, between 10 and 20% of the business, but it starts from zero in a big supply chain system. So taking that from zero to, I think last year it was 10, this year it will be between 15 and 20. We are growing a lot, but where we are now, we have distribution and retailers buying our products in Mexico, in Argentina, in Denmark, in Italy, in Spain, in Poland. We are like in 6 markets now that they are running. So we are start creating some brand awareness that help us to increase our volumes.
Right. So it's the same company then since the beginning in China, in all the story in China. So it's the same entity.
In the supply chain, yeah, in the system, in the processes. Actually, Hune is like the success case of all the processes that we develop all these 18 years. Okay. So I think Hune is the way to show that there is a way to do the things better.
Okay.
This is what I think is the vision. This is what I want. I'm open even to open these processes for OEM. Like if a retailer asks me, I want to get that kind of product with that strategy, with modularity or recycled plastics, climate neutral, etc. With my brand, I'm open for that, because if that increase the impact for
even
me,
if it's white label, let's say.
And actually, I'm trying to change brands from before to came for this side. Right?
Okay, and so your original partner stepped away of the company, so he's no longer. How was this agreement? Like you bought his shares, or you bought his shares back in time? Okay, perfect. And Hune, bootstrapping again, or not bootstrapping, but no investment. Did you ever have interest from investors, or you had interest in having investors in, especially because. With the previous business, probably not that much, but with Hune, which is a consumer brand with a clear purpose, and that's investable, right?
Well, that's a good question. It's a really good question, because I think now is the first time in my life that I'm open for thinking about that. Because in that moment, I think I wasn't thinking about scale the business, because it was only getting more profits. And it was like, why I should get investors for something that is already profitable, and I was everything that I want. I in that moment I wasn't.
Yeah, you didn't need them.
I did, yeah. And in the crisis moment, in the moment that I was looking for a purpose, I really don't want investors, because that will increase the problem. But now that I already trust on what we build, that we build it from from the heart, from the purpose, from what we really want. Now I start feeling that if it happens, if it comes the possibility to increase what we are doing, I'm willing to talk and to think about that. This is the first time in my life that I feel that way.
Great. That's a very powerful story, and it's very different from what I'm used to, right? So I come from another way of building value, which is, I would say, first thinking of through technology how to build and how to unlock a value. But for this, there's always a death valley where you need finance, right? And then you have to always fundraise from day one. So I find it very interesting, and I think also it's very difficult because you have to survive in the shorter term, but at the same time keep your purpose and being a purpose-driven person. So yeah, it's amazing. Congrats. So moving topic. We already talked a bit about this, but as an entrepreneur, right? And you've been living both sides of this. Do you struggle to find a personal work balance which is healthy? Do you have any strategy, or is it an issue for you, or not even that?
Yeah, it's an issue. I try to find different tools. I think I changed them in different moments. Like when I go out from the Vipassana, from the meditation program, I start like meditating every day, and with that I get to use balance. I try to find balance on the mornings. Then after that, living here in Barcelona is like in the middle between Latin America, China, etc. It gives me like more time at morning to I don't have so many meetings in the morning. Okay. I try to have time for myself. I go to have breakfast alone, just there in different coffees in different neighborhoods. I always change.
What time do you wake up?
I don't have an alarm.
You don't put the clock on?
Yeah, I don't put the clock, but sometimes 7, sometimes 8, sometimes 9. Like today I had a lot of appointments, but I didn't have an alarm because I feel I will wake up whenever I need it, because I know my brain is set with time, I think. So today I wake up at 8:30, I think. Okay. I try to go swimming now. This is a new thing. I go swimming almost every morning to the Cap. But I think I try to find different things. Then like friends, wife, family, like try to talk more with, not about businesses and about companies, talk about other things, like try to relax. But yeah, in that moment, like it was a path in my life when I was working a lot, as I told you, like all these trips, etc. And then I have like two big health issues in my life. One was in China. I had to be in the hospital for a intestine thing, like for one day there. So that was the first health issue, and the second, it was like very much worse. Like it was 3.5 years ago when I just launched Hune. Actually, I was finishing a master in sustainability that I study without a degree because I don't have the university degree, just to understand more about sustainability. I end that program. I start selling Hune in Mexico, and in that moment they diagnosed me cancer, like oropharyngeal cancer. It was 3.5 years ago.
Wow.
So in that moment, it was that pushed me to low down everything. In that moment, like it's not what I was feeling that I need less. I really need less.
Yeah, it's a reality.
Yeah, it was a reality that I need to low down everything. And well, I have I have a surgery, like an urgent surgery, like 1 month after the diagnosis. Then I have 33 sessions of radiotherapy and chemotherapy here in Barcelona, in São Paulo. And meanwhile, I was doing all this treatment. I was working at the beginning. Then I couldn't speak because my mouth was shut. I couldn't open my mouth for 1 month or something like that. So in that moment, I was in the meeting, some meetings, like only listening, like just to my brain continue like like growing and connected. And when I was going every day to the hospital to the RX, I was thinking about how I can rebrand the company that it was a tech.
So you weren't disconnecting, even with all this treatment thing, you were so into it. But then, I mean, at least you've thought it seems you've been, because all of your experience, you've been thinking quite a lot of this balance, right?
And the Ikigai, I think it's a good technique. Okay. Thinking about that, like the balance between all these 4 edges. Like,
is there any book or something that you would recommend for this?
Now there is a lot of books about Ikigai, but in that moment it was just writing in a book note, like what you love and what, like, I used to take notes of all the things that I do, and if they are giving me like I'm doing that because of I love that, or like how I was feeling with that task or with what that thing, and that helped me like filter the things that it doesn't makes me.
Perfect, great. So let me change topic. I mean, this we always talk a bit about AI here, and you're a brand, right? Hune is a brand. How unique you think is the current moment with AI? Are we into something as big as everyone says, or you would provide? You think not that much? It has to be seen already. I'm so excited about it, but I don't know.
To be honest, I'm also very excited. And actually, when I'm with my therapist or talking with somebody about that, it's like, it has be like, calm down. Okay. But I think actually, since ChatGPT started, like, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, I don't remember, we make a Slack channel in the group. It was Es por ahí, like, we need to go that way. And everybody says like, what, Dino, what you're saying? Like, you're crazy again, talking about crazy things. And I started like sending jokes with the pictures, jokes that I made with ChatGPT. In that moment, it wasn't very, like the letters was like this. But then the team, my partner, they really start working with AI, and it's giving us a lot of new vision. Like we have more time to focus on the sustainability projects that we were struggling with because we were like focusing on sales and how to increase the volumes. Now we have time to also increase the projects of sustainability, of the time that we really use for strategic things and not for operational things.
So what do you do with AI that you didn't used to do?
Now we are doing a system to reduce all the times, the time that we use for worthless things. And for example, we were doing like the product impact reports. I don't know. We used to do them manually, like the impact that each products makes for the planet, etc. Well, now we can do it much faster, and we can focus on the product passports. That this is what Europe is trying to introduce. The product passport, when you can know everything about the product, like where it came from, etc. We want to be one of the first ones introducing that in electronics.
Okay. And so the traceability.
Yeah, all the traceability, full traceability. And actually, what we are building also is a system for the suppliers work with that, so we can get more information. So
that's going to be a big thing in Europe for food and not electronics, but other.
Usually, starts in food, clothes, etc. What I'm trying to do is learn from that, and also from other electronic brands that there are a few working on that, and trying to introduce that with a I don't want to say like no price, but with a fair price. Okay. That usually sustainability, it's used to sell things more expensive and more cool, etc. What I'm trying to do is use that sustainability, but to go to the big market, where everybody can buy things. And I think AI is putting us everyone in the same level.
Okay. And how is this traceability helping for this? So I just missed, like, you're using AI to be able to trace better. But how is traceability making sustainability more affordable for everyone?
Well, in terms of traceability, now where we are, where we have more information now is in the plastics.
Okay.
We are certified global recycling standard. That these certifications is make like a traceability between the trash or the e-waste is taken from, and then going to all the part of the supply chains until it goes to our product, to winning product. So there is a traceability there, but it's a trust chain. I think using the AI, we will get real information from all the partners. What we want to do in the future is to connect with the factories, with other parts of the chain, not only the materials, not only the raw materials, also the people involved in the system.
And build the CO2 footprint.
The footprints, and I think personally, my motivation is also the social part. Who is doing that product? How much is the wage? How many hours they are working? I would like to have more information, not only the sustainability in terms of CO2.
And for this, you're using AI, for instance?
For this, I think we will use AI. Now we are getting the system. We're starting the system. We are starting putting all the information there. We have 18 years of information that we do reports for every production, every month with our team in China, etc. So first we are putting all the information there in order to analyze it.
Okay. So this AI transformation comes from other spaces like operations. You were showing me a system that you're building yourself with Claude, no?
My partner.
So your partner, the company, let's say. So that substitutes all the software, not all, but many layers of software of third-party solution. That's probably the main thing you're doing with AI today.
Yes, before we used to do a lot of third-party things for different channels or different parts of the system. Now with this AI system that we are developing, we can use all in our own database. Okay. So we can have all the information in the same place. I think one of the problems of the company is that you have a lot of information divided in different groups, different areas, different systems. So that first step of putting all together in one place where we can control it,
okay.
I think there's...
And one question about AI. Is AI somehow against sustainability? Because so far, it seems it only helped you. From a conceptual point of view, is AI against making good impact?
I think in the if you see from outside, in the global side, it's taking a lot of energy, and it will be a big problem trying to solve that, for sure. So if you see in a macro perspective, I really don't know how it's going to it works in the future about the energy. I think it will be price. It will be a price system. No, if it's more expensive, then you will think more deeply before you use AI. I think now it's very cheap. So everybody can use it for ask where is the capital of France, for anything. And meanwhile, the price will go up. The companies and the people will start thinking before asking AI whatever they want in that moment. So that will help decrease the energy part. But in a micro perspective from our company, it gave us the opportunity to go equal with the biggest companies in the market, like Apple, Samsung, Huawei. With AI, we are able to do things that we couldn't do before without AI. Mm-hmm. So I think it's now the compliance thing for the big companies are giving us the time to use it for ourselves to try to go a few steps more.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, we as well at Ealyx, we just make this switch a few months ago, and now with Cloud Cowork, we're doing agents for everything.
It's crazy.
Right? So what do you think is this in entrepreneurship or in building businesses? What do you think is, because AI is going to probably being able to substitute many things, administration, marketing, even sales. The other day, we are exploring doing our own outbound sales with agents, voice agents, so on. What is that one thing that you think that AI won't be able to replace in entrepreneurship?
Personal connection. Like as you say, if all the companies are using it for to hunt, to find customers or doing marketing, like nobody is going to have a differentiation. And at the end, who make the decisions are people. Like you think I was selling? I'm selling for 40,000 shops. In that moment, I wasn't nobody, but because of the personal connection with somebody, it opens me the door to that. So I think AI, it's useful. It's a tool, but it doesn't give you this personal connection thing that is
physical world.
Yeah.
There is this marketplace where AI agents hire people.
Yeah, not a marketplace, a social network.
It's a social network,
yes.
and also, it's. Yeah.
I think it was marketing in the end.
I think
I saw the picture, I saw everything, but I talked
what's
with
the name? Do you know? I
don't remember the name.
Okay, so we will put it in the
think
podcast.
somebody bought that social network
Meta?
now. Meta. Yeah.
Meta bought it, but that's a social network. Then there is a marketplace where an
where
AI
they
agent hire someone to deliver a parcel. Which
it's crazy.
It's great. But that's this. That's what AI won't be able to replace.
They need
the
us.
Physical.
They
need us. Great. So we are towards the end already. In this episode, we're beginning a quick game, which is making quick questions. It's a very, very old game, but funny anyway. So I'll just make a quick question and let's try to answer them quick. So as good Argentinian, coffee or mate?
Coffee, not mate. I'm not a good Argentinian.
Startup with 1 million in pre-seed funding or bootstrapped?
Bootstrapped.
The one app on your phone you couldn't live without?
App? Google Maps.
Nice. Headphones on or off when you work?
On.
On. The big myth about a sustainable business? That's a hard one.
Yeah, it's a very hard one. That. The big myth, it can be the word purpose, but I don't know, like real purpose.
Yeah.
Like it's greenwash or it's real purpose.
So you mean there are a lot of...
I think there is a lot of greenwash. I don't want to say the word greenwashing, but it's like for purpose that when you really understand the sustainability, you really know if they are doing that because it's something cool or something that the market is wanting you to say, and it's real purpose of the company. And when I found real purpose, it's like make me feel like
okay,
goosebumps.
Perfect. A city that changed you, what you think?
Sri Lanka.
Weligama,
the city.
What do you do when you have a decision which is 50-50?
A decision in what way?
Business life, when you have a decision that 50% yes, 50% no, how do you go out of this?
I think a feeling.
Closest you've ever been running out of money?
Closest you mean in the...
In the business, like...
every year.
So
because when
is there a crazy thing you've done?
The craziest thing?
Yeah, no. The closest point that you've been,
I think doing
a situation where next month you don't have money to pay salaries or something.
I feel it's une.
Okay. The last thing you cut from your budget when cash is tight. The last thing.
So it's very hard. It came for me like salaries.
Mm-hmm.
Like salaries, because it's like 80% of our thing. It's people working. Like so, the last thing that I would cut is their way of living.
Mm-hmm. The first client or the first hire? What mattered most?
The first
client or the first employee?
Client.
The first client. Yeah. Okay. Are you calendar blocked by the hour or total chaos? So are you an organized person with meetings or you're total chaos in your calendar?
I have calendarized everything, but it's a chaos.
Okay. And the last one is one word that describes Une in 5 years. Inspiration. Great. So that was the quick quiz. So yeah, last question is if you had to give an advice, because you've seen many things, right? And you're still young. I think we're more or less the same age. I think, but you've done a lot. If you were starting a business now, what would be the advice that you would provide to an entrepreneur that wants to start a company?
First, think about the why, like the reason, the purpose, like finding the ikigai. Like find your ikigai first before that, because you will spend a lot of energy, a lot of time. You will have a lot of bad things in that path. But if you are like making your like checking if that is your purpose, that will help you to survive or to go against all these problems.
Okay, and in terms of Une, where would you like to see it? Do you visualize your company in the next 5 years, or now you live the day? And
I try to visualize, but now with AI, it's like changing every day.
Yeah.
I think about people working with purpose, and then the business will be the consequence of that. I was like building a team that worked with real purpose. As when I was in the hospital with cancer, like all the team was continue growing the Une project without me leading that. So if I can create that ecosystem of people thinking about that, I think the answer will come itself.
Great. And last but not least, do you have any podcast, book, conversation any podcast or book that you would recommend?
Book, Viktor Frankl, The Man Looking for a Purpose. That is a very nice book. Then Irving Yalom, all the philosophy books that I love those. When I was looking for that purpose, I read a lot.
You were reading this.
And I read a lot of that. And in podcasts, I listen a lot of podcasts. Every day, I listen to founders, different founders' interviews to try to understand
the reasoning.
Yeah, the reasoning, and then radio sometimes.
Great, Dino. So thanks very much for this conversation and for the transparency. I think you explained like very deep things, and I think I thank you for this. So thanks for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay.